lot.
So we're stupid. And 15 minutes later, we had a check for $5,000 in our pockets. Wow. So basically what we did, there's 40 rooms up there. There's 36 rooms and 4 suites. And if you gave us $5,000 to build this, and we explained, we've got enough money to build the 40 rooms, but we don't have enough money to build the great room, the lobby and everywhere. So you would have rooms with no place to go. So we told them, we're building a great room and you'll be able to use it anytime you want. But for the $5,000, you will get a wooden plaque on the door that says, you know, this is this donated by Coca-Cola Bottling Company. And then we put that money into the Chamber of Commerce, and there was a reason behind that. And so we just, and then if you couldn't afford $5,000, but for $1,500, we let you have a regular room, 2 double bed, and you also got the room for the, thinking about the cabins being sold out every night at the park. You have first choice on renting the room again the next year, any holiday.
4th of July, Christmas, whatever.
For free.
And the fireworks go off right out there on that island, and so you'll have this balcony. And we ended up selling all 40 rooms for that. The community did, much like they did back in the CCC time when they basically bought the park for the $1,500 that they used. And we got the great room built, which I was very pleased with, because it really got the community behind what we were doing. So we opened the lodge in '96, in October of 1996, and needless to say, that lodge has paid for itself about 4 times now. And the other thing that was interesting is my boss asked me, are you thinking about rates for the lodge? And I said, yes, sir. I think more than any of our cabins, I say we open for $80 a night. And he said, Terry, there's not a hotel in this state that's charging more than $100. I want you to open at 110. I said, okay. So we opened up. We get a call on the phone. I need to make a reservation. What are your rates? $110. If they were from Oklahoma, they'd say, oh, well, forget it. If they were from Texas, they would say, we'll take 3 rooms if you can get them next to each other. So that's kind of where we get the idea of expendable income. So if you're trying to get people to spend money with you, you want to go someplace where they got a lot of money to spend. So we knew pretty quick that our market was going to be North Texas. At the same time, we knew that the people moving in from all the other states was moving in to North Texas. And this has been 25 years and they're still moving into North Texas.
And that infusion of $1 million project sort of was the catalyst for the private development like we're sitting in. So as I mentioned, there was probably 100 cabins, and then what we saw happen right on the heels of that was a couple of builders started building. They got a chunk of land from Weyerhaeuser and started building some cabins. So people, it's individuals. Terry was asking me, she said, are all the cabins like this? I said, no, everything's individually owned. So the one you build might just be like a crazy, bunk bed thing, and the one you build might be a couple's cabin, a honeymoon cabin. And so you've got people from Dallas, Oklahoma City, Shreveport, coming here, buying a little piece of land, putting up a cabin for a second home, vacation home, to rent. Who's going to rent it? So the management company was born. So there was one lady, BJ Zimmerman's kind of the one who started it, and she started a deal where you could call her, and she had, say, 20 cabins in her inventory, all owned by the 20 of you sitting in this room, people from everywhere. She was the face of your cabin. She made sure that it was clean, it was ready, it was reserved. She advertised it, she marketed it. And that management company model is something that has really been amazing and really made this work. But it's not emulated, as far as we know, really anywhere else. And we can't figure that out. It's like, why aren't more people doing this? So it's a huge cottage industry. So you decide to come here, you grab a handful of cabins, you take your 30% per night. So on this cabin, you're taking $300 a night. Is that right? No, $100 a night. $100 a night.
To rent.
to rent it and to get it cleaned in the beginning. Now it's carte blanche. Now it's you get your $100 a night. I, as the owner, also pays you an extra $100 to get my cabin cleaned. On top of that, we're now passing that to the guests, but it's a deal. It's a big deal. And it's now over 50 management companies managing over, and I jumped to the end of that story, but over 2,000 cabins. So just think about the industry that's been created to build these cabins, to maintain these cabins, the plumbers, the builders, the
But
cleaners.
that's what we're trying to get at, is to what it took to get there.
Yeah,
And so at the same time we opened the lodge, that was kind of a stimulus. The park was built here because this was a depressed area. They could bring CCC members in here and they could teach them a trade and show them how to, and have a place for them to live. They got $5 a week or something, they got to keep, the rest of it went home. So that was to teach them, because it was during the Depression. And basically the lodge did the same thing. We were still depressed. We had people coming into the park, but nobody was going to take that step and build a cabin and try to rent it. Number one, the bad guys, as Michelle was talking about, our friend had built one time and somebody broke into it and burned it, and so nobody would take that step again because it was around the neighborhood. But when we took the step, or the state took the step and built the lodge, people were saying, we could find a little, and this acreage was one of the, it was the second, there's one up north, but this area right here was 80 acres that this man bought and said, we'll just develop this and start selling lots. And the other stimulus was the internet. You no longer had to have an office. Your office was at your home. I can talk to you, and I can talk to you from here, or I can talk to you from New York and rent you this cabin. And so that was a big, big thing, because you couldn't really go into business. It cost a lot of money to rent an office in town or somewhere, to hire people to sit in that office and check people in and out. That was a big expense. Now, if you've got a computer, you've got a business, and you can run that right here by yourself. And that's what caught on. And that's what CJ started doing. So, and this was in 96, 97, 98, 2000. We have a festival here every year, the Ouachita Festival, and as Calista knows, we have the board of directors there. And the chairman of the board and one of the other board members came to me and said, we want you to start a tourism tax to help us with Ouachita. We can't, one of the men had been just giving money to Ouachita to keep it going because it was a big festival of the forest. Brought lots of local people into the park. Still does to this day. We want you to start a tourism tax. Well, I just came from Altus. We had a tourism tax there. And Altus is in western Oklahoma.
like a hotel tax.
Yeah, hotel tax in all of your cities now. And if you'll notice, Dallas, Washington, New York, you're paying sometimes 25% of that hotel room. I mean, your hotel room's $100 and taxes are $25, or in some cases $30. So they're tacking that on more and more as you go across. In Altus, they had taken that tourism tax and passed it along to the county commissioners, who in turn paved the roads with it. Well, those tourists drive on the roads, so they promised that they'd spend some on tourism, but they didn't. And so I was, as a hotelier, I didn't want to collect tax from you when you came and stayed with me and give it to people that aren't doing my business any good. So I agreed to work on a tax for it. If that tax has to be spent on promoting tourism, it can't go anywhere else. It's got to go to spend on promoting tourism. So every dollar that comes in, we get a percentage to promote to get another dollar. And that's when, and we knew we couldn't, if you asked you all to pass a tax without really meeting with each one of you and explaining what we're going to do with this tax, and maybe what will happen. And now you all have an example.
But the big thing was convincing them they weren't going to pay the tax.
Not right.
Unless you were staying in hotels.
Unless you're staying in a
You know.
Well, the other interesting thing was, and you're probably gonna hit on this, is that we wanted it to be a county-wide bed tax. But then when the municipalities learned of it, the cities of Valiant, Idabel, and Broken Bow beat us to the punch on the ballot, and they initiated, or went to the ballot, and was able to vote in their own bed tax. So anything we were gonna do was gonna be outside of Idabel, Broken Bow, and Valiant. So they've got their own bed tax, and you can't stack it.
You can't get into it, but that may have helped us, we're not sure. It could have helped us because I was managing the park at the time, so by that time we had 48 cabins and 40 rooms that were generating, if I remember correctly, about $900,000. So I knew if we got 3% of that, that was going to advertising. So I wanted a county tax. And I really didn't care about the cities because they're not going to produce what the county is going to produce. And they could only tax the city limits. And consequently, they spend theirs on taking care of the cemetery and something else.
Parks and Rec.
If you get what I'm saying about taxation without representation. So we were scared that the tax wouldn't pass. So as much as we talk to people, the key words Michelle was saying is, we're not taxing you. We're taxing people that are coming in here.
We called it taxing the Texans, sorry. And that's how we promoted it. It's a Texas, we're taxing the Texans, because
So
that was our
if
truth.
you come here from Arkansas, does that mean you don't have to pay the tax?
No,
We tax the Louisiana people.
and we tax Oklahomans too. But, so we set it up, just in case we set it up. We're just gonna do it for 10 years and see if it works. And that kind of took the pressure off. Well,